Hi, I'm Jeff DeRiso from Beckman Collaborative, and today I'm going to show you how to create recurring milestones in Zoho Projects using a custom function attached to a schedule. This can also be used to create recurring projects as well. So for those businesses who have a monthly recurring service offering, this will help you automate the creation of those milestones or those projects at the beginning of each month. These schedule functions can also be used to create a periodic budget check for each milestone or each project. So let's get into Zoho Projects and I'll show you how it works. Okay, here we are in Zoho Projects. We're in a demo account, so we don't affect any real projects here. And first thing I want to show you is the concept of recurring tasks in Zoho Projects. So if I click on this sample task here, and I go to this recurrence right here, let's click the drop down, and you see that you can create a recurring task in Zoho Projects. You can set the frequency, daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly, set how many days, weeks, months, or years, and how many occurrences before you end the recurrence. And if you want, you can set it to never, so you can always have it recurring. So these are some great options for our recurring tasks within Zoho Projects. But some people have asked, can we create recurring projects or recurring milestones? Now, these are not inbuilt features of Zoho Projects, but we can create them if we need to using custom functions. Now, custom functions in Zoho applications are kind of like a Swiss Army knife in terms of customizing the applications to your processes. Because if there's not a feature that you need, you can use custom functions to build it in. So let me show you what I mean. First, what we want to do is go to the setup icon. And we want to make sure that we have our time zone set properly. So we'll go to portal configuration and click the edit button here. And this is where you can update the name of your portal and also your time zone. And the time zone is, of course, very important to have correct for these scheduled custom functions. So I'll click cancel. So once you've updated your portal configuration, we'll go to customization and modules. And this is where we can activate the Milestones module. It's been renamed as Phases, but on the back end, it is called Milestones. You also have other options for how you can name this Milestones or Phases module. So I'm going to select Milestones, and I'll call it Milestone for the singular, and I'll check this to turn it on, and click Update at the bottom. So this activates the milestones. Milestones are, just like it says, a subgrouping within a project where you can track a specific budget milestone. So if a project is a large project and you want to break it up into these sub-projects or milestones, you want to activate this module. And in our use case, we like to have one project for our recurring clients and make the milestone recurring. So now that we've activated the Milestones module, we want to create a tag that we put on each milestone to tell us which milestones are recurring and which are not, because we may not want every milestone to be a recurring one. So we'll click the X in the top right corner to go back to our portal. Now we'll click on our milestones here, and we'll just select one of these, and we'll go to these three dots here and click Edit. And we see we have our tags field here. So we just create one by typing it in. I call it recurring, and we hit enter, and that creates a new tag. So now that this milestone here is a recurring milestone. So let's call this milestone tutorial November 2024. So when we create these recurring milestones, we're going to want to establish a naming convention that's standardized, and this will allow us to populate that new name using a custom function. So if, for example, we want to do a monthly recurrence, we use the month abbreviation or full name in our milestone name, and of course the year as well. So we've created the tag. Now we can create our function. So let's go back to our setup menu. And we first need to establish a connection. So we go to developer space, connections, and this will allow us to access the Zoho Projects API to customize our custom function. So we'll click Create Connection, and we'll choose Zoho Projects. Give our connection a name. And this credentials of login user, I usually leave this unselected, especially for scheduled functions. So if your custom function involves something that only the admin has access to, you need to make sure not to check this box, because you want the admin user to be the user that executes the function. So then we choose our scopes, and this is the types of API endpoints that we can access using this connection. So for this specific use case, we need to make sure that we get tags, milestones, status, and projects. And you can check up to 50 of these scopes within one connection. So if I want to check a few more, just to make sure that I have options for using this connection for multiple custom functions, I can do that. So that looks good. So I'll click Create and Connect. And connect once again. And now I have this status connected. That tells me that this connection is working. And this connection link name we're going to use in our custom function. So now we've created our connection. We go to Schedule Functions here. Schedule functions are a relatively new feature in Zoho Projects, and they allow us to run a custom function periodically, similar to the way it's set up in the recurring tasks. So if I click Create Schedule Function, and let's give our schedule a name, Clone Recurring Milestones. And we want to add one argument to our function, and that will be our portal ID. And we select Portal System ID. And here's where we set the frequency of our recurrence of this function. So for schedule date, we want to start it at some date in the future. For us, let's do it on the 1st of the next month. So that would be December 1st. And we can decide what time of day to do it as well. Let's do it at 12:30 a.m. So just after midnight on the 1st of the month. And we want this to repeat monthly and repeat every month on the first day of the month. And we don't want it to end, so we leave never here. And we choose whether we want to execute this schedule if it falls on a holiday or not. So if your schedule sends an email to a customer, for example, you probably would want to make sure that you do not execute the schedule on a holiday. So now we go to our Deluge editor, and instead of having you watch me type, we'll just copy and paste the code and we'll go through it line by line. So the first thing we want to do is create our start and end date for our new milestone. And to do that, we use zoho.currentDate because, of course, we're running the schedule on the 1st of every month. So the start date of our new monthly milestone will be the current date that the function executes. So then for our end date, we use our EO month function and 0, which gives us the end date of the current month. And then we get all of our active projects from our Zoho Projects portal using the Get Project Details integration task. And we insert the portal ID into that as an argument, as well as the active status and our connection name. And that will return a list of all the active projects. So we loop through that list and we get the ID and name of each project. Then we get all the active milestones by using the Get Records task. And we insert our portal ID and our project ID and the not completed status. So we get all of our active milestones. And once again, we insert the connection name. And then we loop through each of those milestones. We check for the recurring tag. So if there's a tag, we check to see if the tag name is recurring. Then we get the ID for that tag. Then we create a milestone for the upcoming month. So first we get some of the properties of the old milestone. We get its ID, we get the owner ID, the budget, and the name of the old milestone. And then we take our old name and we get everything before the first space. So in that case, that would be tutorial. And then adding our start date and converting it to a string, giving just the full name of the month and the full year. Now, if you just want the abbreviation for the month, you would just put 3 M's here instead of 4. And then we format our JSON object to create a new milestone. So we insert the name, start and end date. And for those, we want to convert them to a string like this. And that's to make sure that we comply with the Zoho Projects API. Then we add the owner. The flag is either internal or external, and the budget. And then we create that new milestone using our create integration task. And then we get the ID of that new milestone that we just created. Then the next thing we want to do is add a recurring tag to that new milestone. So because there's not an integration task, for this we use invoke URL, and we use this URL right here. And we insert the parameters, the tag ID, the new milestone ID, and entity type 3 just means it's a milestone. So then once we've added our recurring tag to the new milestone, we close the old milestone, once again using invoke URL. So we use this URL this time, and we insert the parameters status is 2, just means we're closing the milestone. And of course, we have info statements for all of our actions to make sure that if something goes wrong, we know why. Now that we've written our custom function, the way to test it will be to click execute now. And it looks like we've successfully created a new milestone, added the tag, and closed the old milestone. So now that we're happy with our schedule, we can click schedule. And now our schedule has been saved successfully. So let's go check on that recurring milestone we created to see if it's been cloned. So you can see the old one has been marked as completed, and we've created a new one. Now, again, because it's the middle of the month, it's November. But if this runs successfully on December 1st, of course, this will say December 2024. Now I go and I look, and it looks like the recurring tag was added successfully. So now we're all set up for the schedule to run again at the beginning of the next month. So that's how you create recurring milestones in Zoho Projects. Now, this same idea could, of course, apply to projects. You can put a tag on a project, and you can do the same type of function that looks through all of your active projects, checks for the tag, and if it finds the tag, creates a new project with similar settings and a similar name, and with the new start and end date. So for those business types that have the recurring retainer business model of services, and this is really helpful because it just saves you the work of having to clone a milestone or project at the end of each month. And of course, the schedules could be used for other types of functions, such as sending a weekly budget report to each of your clients, showing them what percentage of the budget has been used for each milestone. So I hope everyone got something out of this video, and please leave any thoughts or questions you have in the comments, and you can subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.